Hey, what's up YouTube? It's Nick from Rise Up Sports and I'm back with another video. Today we're going right back into ranking. Y'all have seen all of my AFC ranks for what I think they're going to do record wise for each team. And now we're getting into the NFC. So the NFC is an interesting conference this year. AFC is a little bit more competitive. There's not as many good teams in the NFC. So we're going to see some teams like pretty low on here. But there's a couple that I think are going to be really high on this list. So let me show you what I mean. As y'all can see, I have the classic tier maker for this. It's the best way I could find to do it. So we're going to be doing the NFC South today. And first, I'm going to do the Tampa Bay Bucks. So the Bucks got Tom Brady back. Wasn't sure if they were actually going to get him back. He retired for like a couple weeks and then he unretired. So they got him back. They lost Gronk. They lost Ali Marpet. He retired, and they lost Alex Kappa. They're the main three that I see. They lost Ndamukong Suh as well, but they got some cool pieces. They got Rashad White. They drafted a good running back. I love Logan Hall, who they drafted from out of Houston. I mean, I'm biased, but I love him. And they got Russell Gage as well. I think that's actually a low-key, like, big addition because Chris Godwin is going to be out for a little bit. They don't have Antonio Brown anymore, so it's going to be Mike Evans and basically Russell Gage for the first, at least 3 or 4 weeks of the season, if not more. So I think that was a big pickup for them. So with all that being said, they lost some guys. They gained some guys. Their offensive line got a little worse, and so that's why I'm going to put them. I think they'll go around 12-5 or 13-4. About what they did last year. I don't think it's going to be a huge deal, the loss of the guys I mentioned. But when you have Tom Brady at quarterback, I don't really think you can lower him any more than this, at least to start the season. I think they're going to be up there. Next on my list is the Atlanta Falcons. They are in an interesting spot. Matt Ryan is no longer a member of the Falcons. Now starting at quarterback will be Marcus Mariota, which is a little interesting. Not really sure about that. And what's interesting about this team is he lost Calvin Ridley because of a gambling issue. I guess he gambled, bet on sports, and that's not allowed. And so yeah, Calvin Ridley is a great receiver, but they lost him. They lost Russell Gage to a rival in the Bucks, and they drafted Drake London as a receiver. Of course, they still have Kyle Pitts, but you have Marcus Mariota being your starting quarterback. And looking at the guys they got, they also drafted Desmond Ridder, who is a quarterback out of Cincinnati, who I think can have a bright future in the league, but Marcus Mariota is going to start at first. And if you are relying on Cordell Patterson and like Kyle Pitts and Drake London to do much for you, that's kind of a tough spot to be in, not to mention your defense is not that good. I don't think they're going to do very well. I'm going to say they're going to win about 4 or 5 games. I think Mariota can win a couple games. He's not bad, but I just think with the division the way it is, they've played the Bucks twice, and who knows what's going to happen with the next 2 teams I'm going to mention. But I just don't like their team. Like, they just don't have a lot. Like, their offensive line's bad, quarterback's not ideal, you don't have a lot of weapons. It's just going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Next is the Saints. So the Saints obviously don't have Drew Brees anymore. That's kind of obvious. They don't have Sean Payton anymore. So it's kind of like, okay, now it's Jameis Winston's time to shine. And that scares me because Jameis Winston can be very good, but also very bad. He throws for a lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns, but he also gives the ball up a lot. You're kind of overhauling your whole team. You have Jarvis Landry, who came in on a deal, and then you drafted Chris Olave. So receivers I like, and then if Michael Thomas can be healthy, like that's a good 3 receivers, I believe. And I think the receiving core is going to be better than what people are making it out to be, unless Michael Thomas just for some reason can't stay healthy. Because when Michael Thomas was healthy, he was a top 5 receiver in the league, and he was really good. And then you bring in Tyrann Mathieu as well. I think he's still one of the best safeties in the league. Definitely in the top 5 to 10 range, I would say. Some people might have them even higher than that. And so with that addition, I think that'll be big. You're trying to make it on defense. You lost, some of your big guys on defense. You lost Marcus Williams. And then you also lost Teron Armstead on the offensive line. So you definitely have some major losses. But I think you have a good receiving core this year. And that's kind of different from years past, because in years past, this receiving core was one of the worst in the league. I mean, it was bad. Like with Traquan Smith being your number one, it was just not good options. Alvin Kamara, if he doesn't get suspended, is going to be great. And I think Jameis can deal with having a great running back and great weapons to throw through. I think it'll be better than people think. I'm going to put them. Ooh, this one's tough. Either I'm going to put them at like 8 wins. I think they'll win around 8 games. I don't think they'll win any more than that. But I think around 8 games is where kind of their ceiling is. I think they'll play close to that. Some people have them like winning 10 to 12 games. I just don't see that. But I do think they'll play better than people think. Of course, no Drew Brees, no Sean Payton anymore. That hurts because that's been your whole last like 10 years or whatever has been that. And it's been really good. So I don't know. We'll see. And then the last team is the Panthers, one of my favorite teams in the whole entire league. I love Christian McCaffrey. My favorite NFL player is Christian McCaffrey. So I'm going to be biased and say he's the best running back in the NFL when he's healthy. And I do think that's true. I think it'll be interesting with the addition of Baker Mayfield on that team. We'll see if I think he definitely will win the starting job. There's questions whether Sam Darnold will win it. Baker's going to get the starting job. Just they brought him in. Like, they're not going to just let him sit on the bench. And so I think he has the talent necessary. It's just whether he will put it all together. I mean, this Panthers team, they're pretty aggressive and they want to win now, even though they're not quite ready. But I think this year, if Baker can really just be solid, I think that's all they really need, because they have a ton of talent on offense. I mean, you have McCaffrey, one of the best running backs in the NFL. DJ Moore is a beast. And then you have Terrence Marshall, who was a receiver that they took last year, who I think has a lot of potential as well. With all of that, I think you're set up for success. It's just the pieces around it. You drafted a top left tackle in the draft last year, and Ikem Ekwonu, however you say that name. And then on defense, you lost Stephon Gilmore. You also saw in Reddick, which hurts. But then you have, young corners and J.C. Horn and Dante Jackson that I think can be really good. And, I mean, you have a lot of other talent on the defense with Brian Burns at a linebacker spot, kind of on the edge. But, I mean, I think this team has a lot of talent. They're not quite ready for the playoffs yet, I don't think, but they're close. And I kind of want to put them with that 8-9 wins. I'm going to put them at around 6 to 7 wins. I think they'll go about 7-10 this year. But like I said, I mean, this division is all of like 3 like mid-tier teams. Falcons are kind of a bottom tier team, and then you have the Bucks that are just, until Brady retires, they're going to be the best in this division. And there's nobody really catching up. But this division is kind of very similar to the AFC North this year, in my opinion, with the Bengals at the very top, and then the other teams kind of like middle of the pack, but not like up where the Bengals are. And who knows, the Bengals in that division might suck this year. Who knows? I mean, but they made it to the Super Bowl last year. I think they'll be good. But the NFC South, this is kind of what I think is going to happen. I think it'll be Bucks at around 12 wins, Saints at around 8 wins, Panthers at around 7, and Falcons around 4 or 5. If y'all have any disagreements, let me know in the comments below. I will be doing more of these NFC rankings in the very near future, so pay attention to your post notifications, because I'm going to be releasing these a lot. So I think the NFC North is next. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next Rise Up Sports.